Are you currently a student? Are you living somewhere where it's noisy, it's crowded, like a dorm or at your home? Are you having a hard time concentrating? I know it's really hard to focus and concentrate and study when you have a lot of noise and distractions around you. So I'm going to share some strategies from my research and also from my own personal experience to help you. My name is Ruzanna and I have a website called efficiencyandorganization.com where I talk about how a lot of things in life, whether you're a student, whether you're a business owner, in your personal life, in your career, you can do things in a more organized, systematic way. That way you can achieve more and you can get more goals accomplished. This video is on my students page. I actually wrote an article and it has to do with being able to study in a crowded area, and that's where you'll find the full article. What I'm going to do is share some of the strategies of the article here in the video to help you. In every one of my videos, I always share a fun fact in the beginning of the video and I share one at the end. So the fun fact for the beginning of the video is that I love office supplies. Most teachers you talk to, because I was a teacher, I was a classroom teacher, they love having a lot of office supplies, and I am no exception. I love highlighters and post-its and pens, and especially pencils because I used to be a math teacher and math teachers love pencils. So let's get to our topic for today. How do you study in a crowded home? When you check out the article on efficiencyandorganization.com, I have some really nice facts and data having to do with studying in crowded houses. But what I'm going to do is get straight to some of the suggestions in this video just for the sake of time. The first suggestion that I have for you is to organize your time and pre-plan. So figure out when it's best for you to focus and concentrate heavily and use that time wisely. Here's what I did. When I was working on my first master's degree, I had my 2 young children. I think my daughter was like 1. So you can imagine how, like it's hard to be able to focus when you have young kids in the home. What I did was I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning because that was the time when the kids were asleep. Everyone in the home was far less noisy. There were no distractions. It was really difficult in the beginning to wake up that early because I wasn't used to it, but about a month in, my body got used to it. So I would wake up at about 4 o'clock, from 4 to about 6. That gave me 2 good hours to focus and get my work done. Now, some people don't do well with morning routines. They can't get up in the morning. If that's the case with you, then what you have to do is make sure it's quiet, like about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning, whenever your family, whenever your friends, whoever you're living with, when they all go to bed and they're asleep, that's the time that you have to stay awake and study. So you're either going to do it in the morning or you're going to do it at night when everybody goes to bed. The second strategy, you have to have a really good backpack that's organized, that has everything you need in it. Here's why. When you have a noisy home, a place where you're living where there's just a lot of people, a lot of distractions, you're not really sure when you're going to have time and space to study. So you have to have your things with you at all times. Have your post-its, your markers, your calculators, everything you need nicely organized in your backpack. Because let's say you end up going somewhere, you're sitting in the back seat of a car and you're driving somewhere. That might be a 20-minute trip during which, if it's quiet, you can take your book and study. You can take your book and highlight and put post-its and such. So it actually makes a difference if you could consider doing that. Have all your study materials with you because you don't know when you're going to find some time, some peace and quiet, even if it's for 10-15 minutes, to be able to study. The third suggestion I have for you is to be honest with the people you live with and to let them know when there's a major test coming up. This strategy worked really well for me. So what I would do is I would tell people around me, I have a major exam coming up or I have finals coming up, and they would help me out. Like my husband would take the kids out of the house for a little bit so that way I could focus. So you have to be able to talk to the people around you and let them know that you need a little bit of that time, that peace and quiet, even if it's for 1 hour or 2 hours, and use that time very effectively to be able to get some studying done. Another strategy is to use earplugs. So basically you could listen to nice study music. That helped me a lot. There are some YouTube links, sites that you could go to, and it's like for 2 hours it plays really nice, like study music they call it. And I'll have some of the links in the description box if you want to listen to those, but you don't even have to listen to anything. They have some earplugs that you could put in, and basically that kind of takes a lot of the noise away. It's almost like going like this and not hearing anything, and that's what the earplugs do. That might help you. Next strategy is to use the library, use cafes. I know that in like places like Starbucks and cafes, they're not always noisy. There are times in the day when it's really nice and quiet there. There were a couple of times when I went to Panera even, because it's a cafe, and I sat there and I took out my book. Even for 45 minutes, I was able to get a lot done in that 45 minutes by being able to focus. I got more done during that time than I would have had I gone home. I've had friends tell me that they would go down to their car. So if they're living in a crowded apartment, they go down to the basement where the car is parked, and they would just sit there and study, because at least they weren't being distracted for like that 1 hour, 30 minutes, whatever it was, so that they could get their studying done. I'll have the link for the full article with a lot more suggestions than what I'm putting in this video, and that way you could go and see some of the other ones too. But another one that I want to recommend to you that worked for me personally. We had a nice backyard when I was in college pursuing my bachelor's degree, and when it would get super noisy at home, even when it was cold, I would still go to the yard. It was nice and quiet, and I would just take my things. There was a table and a chair, and the dogs would come and say hello, but they didn't distract me, and so that's where I would do some of my studying. So if you have a balcony, if you have any outdoor space, it's actually really neat to sit and study in those conditions, so consider doing that. And also, it just needs to be for a short period of time, because when we focus for short periods of time anyway, 10-15 minutes at a time. So it's not going to be bad for 10-15 minutes to escape, if you will, and go outside and try to get some studying done there. I hope some of these strategies are useful for you and that you can apply them. If you do visit the website, you'll see the 6 focus areas that I talk about. You can subscribe on there. You could subscribe to this channel, because I share all information having to do with becoming more efficient, more productive, just so we could get more done in life and achieve more goals, short-term and long-term goals. I appreciate you being with me, and I will catch you in the next video.